How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Tuesday, April 5th, as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. I'm going to preview everything that's going on today, but before I do so, I'm going to take a quick step back and take a look at where we are as we enter the fourth month, as we are still in the first week of the year, as the MLB season actually starts tomorrow. In the NBA season, teams are starting to seed themselves and sort themselves out in playoff seeds. So far, 5 teams in the Western Conference and 6 teams in the Eastern Conference have already clinched playoff, not play-in spots. So, of course, they're starting to seed themselves out there. And, of course, taking a look at what's going on with soccer overseas, we are still within the midst of the first leg of the quarterfinal round of Champions League, as the first 2 of 4 matches were played yesterday in the first leg. So with that said, I'm actually going to jump in league by league and take you through every single big performance you should probably be aware of. Starting off with the NBA yesterday in Indianapolis, the Indiana Pacers would host the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers would go on to beat the Pacers to, of course, try to improve their playoff seeding. The Sixers would win this game 131-122. They won this game by 9 after they outscored the Pacers 49-28 by 21 in the second half. On the losing end, the hometown Pacers were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Oklahoma, Buddy Hield. He finished with 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 19 from the field. Their starting point guard out of Iowa State, Tyrese Halliburton, finished with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 6 turnovers in 37 minutes. Halliburton shot 7 for 12 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, as he made all 4 of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the Philadelphia 76ers were led in scoring by their elite starting center out of Kansas, the defending champs, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid would go on to finish with 45 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 18 for 30 from the field. He shot 2 for 3 from 3, and he would go on to shoot 7 for 10 from the free throw line. The Sixers starting point guard out of Kentucky, Tyrese Maxey, finished with 30 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 9 for 12 from the field, 8 for 11 from 3, as he made all 4 of his free throws. Their elite starting shooting guard and former NBA MVP, James Harden, finished with 11 points, 2 rebounds, 14 assists, and 2 steals in 40 minutes. He shot 4 for 10 from the field. He would go on to shoot 2 for 7 from 3, as he made 1 of his 2 free throws as well. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are now 49-30. They are now tied with the Boston Celtics and the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks for the second best record in the East, as they have won their last 3 games. They've won 6 of their last 10. In the playoff picture, they sit 2.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. They also sit 3 games ahead of the 5th place Toronto Raptors with 3 games left in their schedule. So the first seed is mathematically possible for them right now. With this loss, the Indiana Pacers are now 25-55. They have now lost their last 8 games. Their 8-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the Eastern Conference. They are tied with the Trailblazers for the longest active losing streak in the NBA. The Pacers have lost 8 of their last 10. And since they have 2 games left in their schedule and they sit 15.5 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets, the Pacers are one of 5 teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention. They sit alongside the Orlando Magic, the Detroit Pistons, the New York Knicks, and the Washington Wizards. Taking a look now at what happened in Orlando, the Magic hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers, and even though they weren't competing for a playoff seed, the Magic would go on to beat the Cavaliers 120-115. They won this game by 5 after they outscored the Magic by 7 in the third quarter. Or they outscored the Cavs by 7 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, Cleveland was led in scoring by their all-star starting point guard, Darius Garland. He finished with 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists, as well as 2 steals in 41 minutes. He shot 11 for 24 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. Cleveland starting power forward out of Arizona, Lauri Markkanen, finished with 25 points and 2 blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3, as he made all 5 of his free throws. Their power forward off the bench, Kevin Love, finished with 17 points and 13 rebounds in 25 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and he made both of his free throws. The Cavaliers starting center, Moses Brown, finished with 10 points and 12 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 4 for 7 from the field, and he would go on to make 2 of his 4 free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Orlando Magic were led in scoring by their starting center out of Texas, Mo Bamba. He finished with 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 blocks in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, as he shot 2 for 4 from the free throw line. Orlando's small forward off the bench, Ignaz Brazdeikis, finished with 20 points and 6 rebounds in 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 16 from the field, and he made 2 of his 4 free throws. With this win, the Orlando Magic are 21-59. That is the worst record in the Eastern Conference. That is the second worst record in the NBA, as only the Rockets have a worse record. The Magic have won 3 of their last 10 games. And of course, because they have 2 games left in their schedule and because they sit 19 and a half games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets, the Orlando Magic are at the bottom of the 5 teams in the East that have failed to qualify for playoff contention, as they sit behind the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, the New York Knicks, and the Washington Wizards, as well as the playoff picture. With this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now 43-37. That is the 7th best record in the East. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference play-in or playoff picture, I guess they're now in the play-in picture because they have failed to qualify for a playoff seed. They are currently sitting 2.5 games behind the 6th place Chicago Bulls. They are sitting a game and a half ahead of the 8th place Brooklyn Nets because they have, as they have 2 games left in their schedule, they cannot jump higher than 6th. So it looks as though they're going to be entering this play-in seed. Overall, they sit 9 games behind the 1st place Miami Heat. Taking a look now at what happened in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets hosted the Houston Rockets. The Nets would beat the Rockets 118-105 to ensure that the Rockets would have the worst record in the NBA, having lost 3/4 of their games. The Nets would win this game by 13 after they outscored the Rockets by 12 in the second quarter. The Nets were up by 17 at halftime. On the losing end of this matchup, the Houston Rockets were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of USC, Kevin Porter Jr. He finished with 36 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 13 for 26 from the field, 6 for 14 from 3, and he would shoot 4 for 6 from the free throw line. Their starting shooting guard, Jalen Green, the number 2 overall pick in last year's draft, will go on to finish with 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 12 for 23 from the field. He shot 4 for 10 from 3, and he made 2 of his 3 free throws. The Rockets starting center, Alperen Sengun, finished with 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 5 for 11 from the field, and he would go on to make all 4 of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Brooklyn Nets were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard out of Duke, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie finished with 42 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 40 minutes. He shot 13 for 24 from the field, 8 for 16 from 3, and he would go on to make all 8 of his free throws. The Nets' goated starting power forward, Kevin Durant, would go on to finish with 18 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 blocks in 37 minutes. The 2-time NBA Finals MVP would shoot 4 for 13 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and he would shoot 9 for 10 from the free throw line. The Nets starting center, Andre Drummond, finished with 10 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 20 minutes, as the former rebound title holder would go on to shoot 5 for 11 from the field. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are now 41-38, as they have officially clinched not having a losing record for the year. They've won 5 of their last 10 games. Sitting within the Eastern Conference play-in picture, they are tied with the Atlanta Hawks for the 8th best record in the East. With 3 games left in their schedule, they sit a game and a half behind the 7th place Cleveland Cavaliers. They sit a game ahead of the 10th place Charlotte Hornets. Overall, they trail the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 10.5 games in the conference. With this loss, the Houston Rockets are now 20-60. That is the worst record in the Western Conference. They've now lost their last 5 games. That is the third longest active losing streak in the conference, behind the Lakers and the Trailblazers. The Rockets have lost 7 of their last 10. They have 2 games left in their schedule, and since they are sitting 14.5 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, the Rockets are at the bottom of the 4 teams in the Western Conference that have failed to qualify for the 5 teams in the Western Conference that have failed to qualify for playoff contention, as they sit under the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Portland Trailblazers, the Sacramento Kings, the Los Angeles Lakers, and of course the play-in and playoff picture. So that is where the Rockets are sitting. Taking a look at what happened in Miami, the Eastern Conference leading Heat hosted the Hornets, were able to pick up their 52nd win of the season in their 80th game after beating the Hornets by 29. They won it 144-115. They went on to outscore the Hornets by 13 in the second quarter. They also outscored the Hornets by 24 in the fourth quarter in order to extend their lead and make it as big as it was. On the losing end of this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets, who of course were competing for a play-in seed, by the way, were led in scoring by their starting small forward out of Michigan State, Miles Bridges. He finished with 29 points and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 11 for 16 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and he would shoot 4 for 5 from the free throw line. The Hornets' elite starting point guard and first-time All-Star LaMelo Ball finished with 18 points, 5 rebounds, 14 assists, and 5 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field, and he shot 4 for 9 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Miami Heat were led in scoring by their elite starting, or I guess they were led in scoring by their guard off the bench out of Kentucky, Tyler Hero. Hero finished with 35 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 11 for 18 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3, and he made all 7 of his free throws. Miami's elite starting small forward, Jimmy Butler, would go on to finish with 27 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. He would go on to shoot 7 for 8 from the free throw line. Miami's starting center out of Kentucky, Bam Adebayo, finished with 22 points and 9 rebounds in 31 minutes. He shot 7 for 10 from the field and 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Their shooting guard off the bench out of Michigan, Duncan Robinson, finished with 21 points in 27 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field. He shot 7 for 11 from 3. With this win, the Miami Heat are now 52-28. That is the best record in the Eastern Conference and the 3rd best record in the NBA, behind the Suns and the Grizzlies. Miami has won their last 5 games. Their 5-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the Western Conference. It is the longest active winning streak in the NBA, as a matter of fact. They've won 6 of their last 10 games. Sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, with 2 games left in their schedule, they sit 2.5 games ahead of the Celtics, Bucks, and 76ers. As they have officially clinched, I believe, the best record in the NBA or in the Eastern Conference. If they haven't done it with this win, they're definitely going to do it the next game. With this loss, but I guess before I get there, they sit 2.5 games ahead of the 3-way tie of the Celtics, Bucks, and Sixers. They are currently sitting 11.5 games ahead of the 10th place Charlotte Hornets at the bottom of the play-in picture. And right now, the Heat are sitting 31 games ahead of their in-state rival, the Orlando Magic, who are sitting at the very bottom of the Eastern Conference. Taking a look now at what's happening north of the U.S.-Canadian border, the Raptors hosted the Atlanta Hawks. Toronto would beat Atlanta 118-108. They won this game by 10 after they outscored the Hawks by 8 in the second quarter and then by 6 in the second half. On the losing end of this game, the Atlanta Hawks were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard from Oklahoma, Trae Young. He finished with 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 15 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 10 for 23 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and he would shoot 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Atlanta's starting shooting guard, Kevin Huerter, finished with 21 points in 31 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field and 5 for 9 from 3. Atlanta starting small forward out of Virginia, DeAndre Hunter, finished with 20 points and 6 rebounds in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field as he made all 4 of his free throws. The Hawks starting center, Clint Capella, would finish with 10 points and 14 rebounds alongside 2 steals in 33 minutes. He shot 5 for 8 from the field. With this, and on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Toronto Raptors were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Pascal Siakam. He finished with 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists in 40 minutes. He shot 12 for 23 from the field. He would go on to shoot 1 for 4 from 3 and 6 for 8 from the foul line. The Raptors' rookie starting small forward out of Florida State, Scotty Barnes, finished with 19 points and 14 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field. Their all-star starting shooting guard out of Wichita State, Fred VanVleet, finished with 12 points, 2 rebounds, and 9 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 4 for 21 from the field, 2 for 12 from 3. He would shoot 2 for 3 from the free throw line. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are 46-33. That is the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 3 games behind the 4th place Philadelphia 76ers, and they are sitting a game ahead of the 6th place Chicago Bulls. And with 3 games left in their schedule, the Toronto Raptors are sitting 5.5 games behind the Heat. But I guess in addition to the Sixers, they are sitting 3 games behind the Celtics and the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks as well. With this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are now 41-38. That is the 8th best record in the East, as they are tied with the Brooklyn Nets at the moment. They've lost 3 of their last 10 games. In the play-in picture, with 3 games left in their schedule, they are sitting a game and a half behind the 7th place Cleveland Cavaliers. They are sitting a game ahead of the 10th place Charlotte Hornets. Overall, they trail the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat from within their own division by 10.5 games. The highest seed they can hope for at this moment is the 7th seed in the East. Taking a look at what happened in Chicago, the Bulls were able to be beat by Milwaukee from just up the lake. The Bucks would beat the Bulls 127-106. They won it by 21 points after they went on to outscore Chicago by 12 in the first half. They would outscore Chicago by 7 in the fourth quarter, of course, as well. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their all-star starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan. He finished with 40 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 16 for 26 from the field as he made all 8 of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the Milwaukee Bucks were led in scoring by their starting center out of Stanford, Brook Lopez. He would go on to finish with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks in 29 minutes, as the champ would shoot 9 for 14 from the field, and he would make all 9 of his free throws. Milwaukee's all-star starting small forward, Chris Middleton, finished with 19 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals in 28 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field and 3 for 10 from 3. Their elite starting power forward out of Greece, last year's NBA Finals MVP, and Giannis Antetokounmpo would go on to finish with 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 24 minutes. The 2-time NBA MVP would shoot 7 for 13 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and he would make 3 of his 5 free throws on the night. With this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are now 49-30. They are tied with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics for the second best record in the East. The Bucks have won 6 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, with 3 games left in their schedule, they are sitting 2.5 games behind the 1 seed Miami Heat. They are sitting 3 games ahead of the 5th place Toronto Raptors as well, to get a sense of where they are. With this loss, the Chicago Bulls are now 45-34. That is the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. In the playoff picture, they are sitting a game behind the 5th place Toronto Raptors. They are also sitting 2.5 games ahead of the 7th place Cleveland Cavaliers, as the Bulls have 3 games left in their schedule. The highest seed that they could possibly get is the 5th seed for right now. So that is what they're looking like. Taking a look at what's going on in Minneapolis, not that far away, the Timberwolves hosted the Washington Wizards. The Wizards would beat the Timberwolves 134-114. The Wizards would win this game by 18 after they outscored the Wolves by 7 in the third quarter and by 10 in the fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Timberwolves would be led in scoring by their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns. He finished with 26 points and 10 rebounds alongside 2 blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 24 from the field. He would go on to shoot 2 for 8 from 3, and he would shoot 4 for 5 from 3 as well. Their elite starting small forward, Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, would finish with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field. He would shoot 1 for 6 from 3, and he made his only free throw on the night. The Wolves starting point guard out of Ohio State, D'Angelo Russell, finished with 17 points and 11 assists in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Washington Wizards were led in scoring by their starting center and former All-Star Kristaps Porzingis. He finished with 25 points and 8 rebounds in 27 minutes. The former lottery pick shot 11 for 17 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. Their center off the bench, Daniel Gafford, finished with 24 points and 12 rebounds in 31 minutes. He shot 10 for 11 from the field and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Their starting power forward out of Gonzaga, Rui Hachimura, finished with 21 points and 5 rebounds in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3 as well. With this win, the Washington Wizards are now 35 and 44. They are tied with the Knicks actually for the 4th worst record in the Eastern Conference. The Wizards have won 6 of their last 10 games. Considering they have 3 games left in their schedule and they sit 5 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets, they are one of 5 teams in the Eastern Conference that have failed to qualify for playoff contention. With this loss, the Minnesota Timberwolves are now 45 and 35. That is the 7th best record in the Western Conference. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. In the playoff picture, they are sitting 2 games behind the 6th place Denver Nuggets. They are sitting 5.5 games ahead of the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers. With 2 games left in their schedule, I guess they could probably get the 6th seed still mathematically, but overall they trail the conference leading Phoenix Suns by 18.5 games at the moment. Taking a look now at what's going on in Oklahoma City, the Thunder would host the Trailblazers. The Oklahoma City Thunder would beat the Portland Trailblazers 98-94. They won this game by 4 after they outscored the Trailblazers by 19 in the 4th quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Trailblazers were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Keon Johnson. He would go on to finish with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, as well as 2 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, as he shot 1 for 2 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Oklahoma City Thunder were led in scoring by their starting forward, Jalen Horde. He would go on to finish with 24 points, 21 rebounds, and 3 steals in 46 minutes. He shot 11 for 17 from the field. And with this win, before I go into that, their center off the bench, Olivier Sarr, would finish with 10 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 3 for 8 from the field, and he made all 4 of his free throws. Now, with this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 24 and 55. That is the 2nd worst record in the Western Conference. They've now won their last 2 games, and they've won 4 of their last 10. Considering they have 3 games left in their schedule and they sit 10 games outside of the play-in picture, they are one of 5 teams in the Western Conference that have failed to qualify for playoff contention this year, as of course they are looking forward to the offseason and the lottery, but they still have 3 games left to go. With this loss, the Portland Trailblazers are 27 and 52. That is the 3rd worst record in the West. They've lost their last 8 games. That is the longest active losing streak in the Western Conference. They are tied with the Indiana Pacers for the longest active losing streak in the NBA. They've lost 9 of their last 10. They have 3 games left in their schedule as they sit 7 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs. As a result, alongside the Thunder, they are one of 5 teams that have been eliminated from the Western Conference playoff picture as of right now. Right now, they trail the Suns by 36 whole games in the conference. Taking a look at what is happening, or at least what happened in the Mile High City, the Denver Nuggets would host the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs would go on to clinch the 10th play-in spot after beating the Nuggets 116-97. They would go on to win this game by 19 after they outscored the Nuggets by 18 in the second quarter and then by 13 in the fourth. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by last year's NBA MVP, Nikola Jokic. He would go on to finish with 41 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in 40 minutes. The Nuggets' elite center would shoot 18 for 35 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the free throw line. Their starting power forward, Aaron Gordon, former dunk contest extraordinaire, would finish with 18 points, 13 rebounds and 2 blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 16 from the field and 2 for 4 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Antonio Spurs were led in scoring by their duo of Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. Keldon Johnson finished with 20 points and 8 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field and 2 for 3 from the free throw line. Devin Vassell finished with 20 points and 8 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3 as he made both of his free throws. San Antonio starting point guard out of Duke, Tre Jones, would finish with 14 points and 10 assists in 33 minutes. He shot 5 for 11 from the field and 4 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win, the San Antonio Spurs are now 34-45. That is the 10th best record in the Western Conference as they have clinched that last play-in berth. They have now won their last 3 games and they've won 8 of their last 10 to overcome the Lakers, who were originally sitting in that spot. Sitting at the bottom of the play-in picture, they sit 1 game behind the 9th place New Orleans Pelicans as they sit 3 games ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers, the first team on the outside looking in. And because they own the tiebreaker over the Lakers with 3 games left, they've officially clinched this spot. And with 3 games left in their schedule, they sit 29 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns. With this loss, the Denver Nuggets are now 47-33. That is the 6th best record in the Western Conference. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. In the playoff picture out in the West, the Nuggets have 2 games left in their schedule. They sit half a game behind the 5th place Utah Jazz, the most recent team in the West to have clinched a playoff spot. The Nuggets sit 2 games ahead of the Timberwolves, as another win from them or a loss from the Timberwolves would, of course, secure that 6th spot in the playoff picture for the Denver Nuggets. So, of course, they're still hanging in there as they trail the Phoenix Suns by 16.5 games in the conference. Taking a look at what happened in Salt Lake City, the Utah Jazz would host the Memphis Grizzlies. In a game that went to overtime, the Jazz would beat the Grizzlies 121-115. They won it by 6 after outscoring the Jazz 11-5 in overtime. This came after they had a very even third and fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Jaren Jackson Jr. He went on to finish with 28 points and 7 rebounds alongside 3 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 8 for 27 from the field and 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Their starting point guard, Tyus Jones out of Duke, would go on to finish with 24 points and 5 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 10 for 19 from the field as he made all 4 of his threes. Memphis' starting shooting guard, Desmond Bane out of TCU, would finish with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 21 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3 as he made all 4 of his free throws. Their shooting guard off the bench out of USC, DeAnthony Melton, would finish with 11 points and 10 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 3 for 7 from the field as he made all 4 of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Utah Jazz were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, and their point guard off the bench, Jordan Clarkson. Gobert would finish with 22 points and 21 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 5 for 8 from the field, and he shot 12 for 18 from the free throw line. Their point guard off the bench, Jordan Clarkson, finished with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in 31 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. The Jazz elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, finished with 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 6 for 24 from the field, 1 for 9 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. Utah center off the bench, Hassan Whiteside, finished with 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 19 minutes, as the former NBA rebounds leader would shoot 7 for 10 from the field last night. And then, of course, with this win, the Utah Jazz are 47-32. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference, as they became the 5th team in the Western Conference who outright clinch a playoff berth. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. In the playoff picture, they sit 2 games behind the 4th place Dallas Mavericks. They sit a half a game ahead of the 6th place Denver Nuggets. They are currently sitting 2.5 games ahead of the 7th place Minnesota Timberwolves as well. And with 3 games left in their schedule, they sit 16 games behind the 1st place Phoenix Suns. Mathematically, I imagine that the highest seed that they can get is either the 3rd or the 4th seed right now, as they're holding on to that 5th seed. With this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 55-24. That is the 2nd best record in the Western Conference and the 2nd best record in the NBA. They've lost only 2 of their last 10 games. In the playoff picture, they sit 8 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns. They sit 5 games ahead of the 3rd place Golden State Warriors, as they have 3 games left in their schedule, as they have, of course, locked up that 2nd spot in the Western Conference playoff picture. Taking a look at what happened in Sacramento, California's capital, the Kings would host the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans would go on to beat the Kings 123-109. They won this game by 14 after they outscored the Kings by 8 in the 3rd quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Sacramento Kings were led in scoring by their starting center, Damian Jones. He finished with 22 points in 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 10 from the field. He made his only 3-pointer, as he made all 5 of his free throws. Sacramento's rookie starting point guard off of last year's champion Baylor Bears, Davion Mitchell, would go on to finish with 15 points, 17 assists, and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 6 for 14 from the field, as he made both of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, CJ McCollum, and their starting center, Jackson Hayes. McCollum finished with 23 points, 5 assists, and 4 steals in 31 minutes. He shot 10 for 19 from the field and 2 for 3 from the free throw line. Their starting center, Jackson Hayes, finished with 23 points and 12 rebounds in 29 minutes. He shot 10 for 14 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he made 1 of his 3 free throws. New Orleans' elite starting small forward, Brandon Ingram, would finish with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 5 for 15 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and he shot 6 for 8 from the free throw line. The Pelicans starting center, Willy Hernangomez, would go on to finish with 12 points and 12 rebounds in 26 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field, and he made both of his free throws. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 35-44. That is currently the 9th best record in the Western Conference, as they've won 7 of their last 10 games. In the play-in picture, they are sitting 4 games behind the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers. They are sitting a game ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, as both of these teams have, of course, clinched a play-in berth. The Pelicans, with 3 games left in their schedule, are currently sitting in this spot, as the Spurs, of course, could pass them, but they are looking forward, of course, to finishing out the season strong to prep for the play-in matchup. With this loss, the Sacramento Kings are now 29-51. That is the 4th worst record in the Western Conference. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They sit 5.5 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, with 2 games left in their schedule. And of course, they are sitting alongside 4 other teams in the West. They are one of 5 teams that have failed to qualify for playoff contention this season, as they sit alongside the Houston Rockets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Portland Trail Blazers, and of course, the Los Angeles Lakers. Speaking of the Los Angeles Lakers, the Lakers would go on to play against the NBA leading Phoenix Suns yesterday in Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns would be the team to eliminate the Los Angeles Lakers from contention for the 2nd year in a row, as last year they beat the Lakers in the first round of the playoffs. The Suns would beat the Lakers by 11. They won it 121-110. After they outscored the Lakers by 8 in the 2nd quarter, and then by 13 in the 3rd, by 21 in the middle 2 quarters. On the losing end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Lakers were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard, the NBA's all-time leader in triple-doubles, Russell Westbrook. He will go on to finish with 28 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 6 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 10 for 20 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 6 for 8 from the free throw line. Their elite starting power forward, Anthony Davis, finished with 21 points and 13 rebounds in 36 minutes. He shot 10 for 18 from the field and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. And then, of course, on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Phoenix Suns were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Devin Booker, out of Kentucky. He finished with 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in 30 minutes. He shot 12 for 22 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3 as he made both of his free throws. Phoenix's starting center, DeAndre Ayton, out of Arizona, finished with 22 points and 13 rebounds in 27 minutes. The former number 1 overall pick shot 10 for 14 from the field and made both of his free throws. The Suns' elite starting point guard, Chris Paul, finished with 6 points, 4 rebounds, 12 assists, and 2 steals in 24 minutes. He shot 3 for 7 from the field. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are now 63-16. That is the best record in the NBA. They're the only team that has won at least 60 games this season, or will win at least 60 games this season. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They sit 8 games ahead of the second place Memphis Grizzlies with 3 games left in their schedule. And the Suns have, of course, locked up the best record in the West. They sit 8 games ahead of the second place Memphis Grizzlies. They are sitting 29 games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs. They sit 43.5 games ahead of the Rockets, who are currently holding the worst record in the Western Conference. If you want to get a sense of how big that gap is between worst and best, it's 43.5 games at this moment. And taking a look at where the Lakers are with this loss, they are now 31-48. That is the 5th worst record in the Western Conference. They've now lost their last 7 games. That is the second longest active losing streak in the conference. Only the Blazers have a longer losing streak. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. The Lakers have 3 games left in their schedule, and they sit 3 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs. Because the Spurs actually own that tiebreaker, the Lakers are already eliminated from playoff contention, as they are the 5th team in the West to be eliminated, as the 10 teams in the Western Conference are basically set up going into the play-in round. And then, of course, that is what the NBA is looking like as we are getting ready to preview what's going on today. Of course, taking a look at what is going on today, because today is Wednesday, it looks as though the primetime matchups are going to be on ESPN. The first one will be a New York derby, as the New York Knicks are going to host the Brooklyn Nets in Madison Square Garden. New York Knicks enter this matchup with the tied for the 4th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've already missed out on the playoffs, but they enter this matchup having won 6 of their last 10. The Brooklyn Nets, on the other hand, enter this matchup tied with the Atlanta Hawks for the 8th best record in the East. They've won 5 of their last 10 games, and with 3 games left in their schedule, they sit a game and a half behind the 7th place Cleveland Cavaliers. Alongside that game at 10 o'clock on ESPN, in Crypto.com Arena, the Los Angeles Clippers, who are going into this playoff series with the 8th seed, are going to host the Phoenix Suns, who are going to go into this playoffs with the 1 seed. The Clippers enter this matchup having won their last 2 games and 4 of their last 10. They sit 5.5 games behind the 7th place Minnesota Timberwolves with 3 games left in their schedule. The Phoenix Suns enter this matchup having won 8 of their last 10. They sit 8 games ahead of the second best team in the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies, as the Suns have 3 games left in their schedule. I wouldn't be surprised if they bench their starters. Taking a look at the games that aren't going to be on prime time at 7 o'clock, the Detroit Pistons are going to host the Dallas Mavericks. At 8 o'clock, the Atlanta Hawks are going to host the Washington Wizards. At 8, the same time, the Chicago Bulls are going to host the Boston Celtics in what could be a 1st seed or a 2nd seed playoff matchup. At 9 o'clock, the Utah Jazz are going to host the Oklahoma City Thunder in Vivint Arena as well. But that is what basketball is looking like. Taking a look at what's going on with soccer as we leave the country. But of course, before we leave, I guess it is worth saying that opening day is tomorrow, and once we get to tomorrow, I'm going to, of course, do the previews necessary as we get into the 2022 MLB season. Taking a look now at what's going on with Champions League. Yesterday were the first two matchups for the first leg of the quarterfinal round of Champions League. Taking a look at the very first matchup that would take place in Portugal, featuring the lone Portuguese team left. Benfica would, of course, host Liverpool in the first match. Taking a look first at how both of these two teams got here. Benfica would make it through the round of 16 after beating Ajax on a 3-2 aggregate. And then looking at Liverpool would make it through the round of 16 after they had beat Inter 2-1 on their aggregate. In this very first quarterfinal matchup, Liverpool would end up beating Benfica, so they hold a 3-1 aggregate lead. Their first goal would be a header from Ibrahima Konate, their French defender. Their second goal would be from their elite Senegalese forward Sadio Mane in the 34th minute before they went into halftime. The second half would open with a Darwin Nunez goal in the 49th minute for Benfica, as that was their lone goal. And then Liverpool would see a goal from Luis Diaz, their Portuguese forward, in the 87th minute, who actually started this season in the Portuguese league. So with this win, they're going to have their second leg be in Liverpool. That matchup is going to, of course, be set for Wednesday, April 13th at 3 o'clock. Taking a look at the second Champions League game that took place yesterday, this one, of course, would feature Manchester City and Atletico Madrid. This first leg would be in Manchester. Manchester City would make it to the quarterfinal after they won their round of 16 aggregate 5-0 versus Sporting from Portugal. And Atletico Madrid would make it to the round of 16 after beating Manchester United 2-1 on aggregates. In this quarterfinal matchup, the only goal of the game would be a 70th minute goal scored by Manchester City's elite Belgian midfielder Kevin De Bruyne in the 70th minute. So the next matchup will be in Atletico next Wednesday to determine which team of these two will advance to the Champions League semifinals. So that is what Champions League is looking like following yesterday's matchups, as of course there was a CONCACAF Champions League game as well. Taking a look at what's going on today in the second day of the first leg of quarterfinals Champions League matchups. The first one will happen in London in Chelsea as Chelsea host Real Madrid, the defending champs. I'm looking at how Chelsea got here. The defending champs were able to make it through the round of 16 after they beat LOSC Lille, the defending Ligue 1, the defending French champs, 4-1 by aggregate. Real Madrid would make it through the round of 16 after they ended up beating PSG 3-2 on aggregates, thanks to Karim Benzema's second leg hat trick. That matchup will be, of course, at 3 o'clock. And then the second matchup at 3 o'clock will feature Villarreal and Bayern Munich, as today will feature two Spanish sides. Villarreal, the reigning Europa League champs, were able to make it to this quarterfinal round after they were able to beat Juventus 4-2 on aggregates, thanks to their 3-0 win in the second leg of the round of 16. And looking at how Bayern Munich would get here, the defending Bundesliga champs would beat RB Salzburg 8-2 on aggregates after winning 7-1 in their second matchup, after seeing a hat trick from Robert Lewandowski. Once we are done with today's matchups, we are going to be halfway, of course, through this group stage, as of course we are going to be looking forward to what is going to come from the second round, as the first leg of Villarreal Bayern Munich will be played in Spain. The second leg of that matchup will be played in Munich. As for Chelsea Real Madrid, the second leg of that matchup will be played in Madrid. And because these games are being played today, the second leg of these matchups will be on Tuesday of next week, as they will determine the first two teams that go on to the Champions League semifinals. So that is what's going on with soccer. And with that said, I do want to take this time to thank the ESPN websites and, of course, thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well. And with that said, I want to, of course, apologize for all the names that I butchered along the way if I did so. I want to, like I said, thank the ESPN, NBA, FIFA, and MLB sites, as I will get into those. I will get into the MLB season day by day. Starting tomorrow, is basically going to be a grind until the end of the year, and I do love baseball, so I can't wait to get into it. Thanks once again for listening to all 43 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. Today is Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. I'm James Sims. This is The Elite. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening, And thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and peace out.